We got some politics for you. We're back in the wake of Utah and Pennsylvania's primary purgings. This weekend, Colorado became the latest state to deliver bad news to a sitting U.S. senator. The good news for Michael Bennet, of course, is that he still earned enough votes at this weekend's state Democratic caucus assembly to make the primary ballot out in August. But it hardly takes the sting out of losing by 20 points to former state speaker Andrew Romanoff, who joins us now. Speaker Romanoff, are you an outsider or an insider, sir? Because we're trying to figure these things out. Sestak was a U.S. congressman and admiral for 31 years. He was an outsider. How do you do these things? How do you spin from in to out these days?
You know, I'm outside of Washington. I don't have a lot of experience cutting deals with drug companies or insurance companies to protect their profits or big Wall Street banks. The Democratic Party I led, and the party I still believe in, stands up for working people. That's the leadership I bring to this race.
Let me ask you about... are you a progressive, and if so, more progressive than Michael Bennet? Who wins the progressive fight in Colorado on the Democrat side?
Well, we're winning that fight. We won the caucus.
Are you a progressive? Are you a progressive? Will you be a progressive in October if you get that far? Will you keep that label?
I'm not. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not going to change my tune. I'm the only candidate in this race who isn't taking any money from any special interest groups now. I won't take it after I win the nomination.
Let's take a look at these numbers right now. You won with 60%. Michael Bennet got 40%. What was your winning argument against the appointed senator, Michael Bennet?
Stiffen your spine or step out of the way. And what Democrats across Colorado and Arkansas and Pennsylvania are looking for is somebody who is willing to stand up to the special interests, stand up to your own party when you think they're doing something wrong. I am right now by running against the wishes of the national political establishment. And it's working. We're winning.
Well, how does that, which issues do you differ from on voting rights?
Sure.
On voting, when you come down to voting in the United States Senate, people are voting for you to vote for them in Washington. Give me some examples of where you would not have voted the way Michael Bennet voted during his short stay in Washington.
Yeah, I'll give you a few examples. One, there was a proposal in the Senate last year to protect families from foreclosure, a cram-down amendment that the banking industry opposed. My opponent voted against that bill. I would have voted for it. There was a chance to push for the public option. My opponent said he would. He didn't. He raised a lot of money off of a promise he didn't keep. I would have pushed for that option so we can give Americans more choices and insurance companies more competition. And there was a proposal just a couple weeks ago to prevent banks from becoming too big to fail by imposing limits on their leverage. The Brown-Kaufman amendment to the financial reform bill. My opponent voted against it. I would have voted for it.
Let's talk about Arizona, a hot issue in that part of the country. The Rockies out there. Arizona has passed a law. It's been interpreted different ways. Some say it's profiling. Some say the law itself says literally it's not. What do you believe should be the proper enforcement methods for stopping illegal immigration? What enforcement mechanism do you support?
Yeah, I offer a few. One, we ought to provide funding for the Bureau of Customs and Border Protection, stop drug runners and human smugglers and traffickers from coming here, keep felons out, and remove those who are here against the law. We ought to hold employers accountable. You know this. The reason that so many folks
how do we do that? How do we? That's a big issue with me. How do you tell an employer, a person running a factory or a person farming, who wants to go out? These guys show up. He goes down to the local wherever people hang out or looking for jobs, and he says, "Who here has legal documentation to work in this country?" Can you guarantee that that employer will be able to be asked for and get a document which will prove that he's hiring somebody legally, so he won't be hiring anybody illegally? Will you give him such a document as a senator?
Well, I believe there should be such a system in place.
A document that will not know. Will you vote for a document that cannot be forged, cannot be faked? It has to be that person who's standing there.
Yes.
Okay, so you're for a biometric, you're for an actual, you're the first Democrat I've heard since Ted Kennedy, who passed away, who's honestly said to me they're for outlawing illegal immigration.
Well, I don't know anybody
actually for enforcement.
I don't know of anybody who's in favor of illegal immigration. You're right. The problem is...
Well, they are, because they won't do anything on enforcement, but you've said so. We'll see what kind of noise you take, but I am impressed by your willingness to say that you're for... What about people who live here now who came into the country illegally? What do we do?
Here's what I say. We ought to produce a criminal background check. If you're a felon, if you've broken the law in that fashion, you ought to be gone. If you're willing to work hard, play by the rules, obey the law, pay taxes, contribute to the country, there ought to be a legal path by which you can do that. You should go to the back of the line.
I completely agree with your views. I completely agree with your views so far. Thank you, Andrew Romanoff, for coming on and having the guts to put a balanced program before us. When we return, I'll have some thoughts about the horrific oil spill in the Gulf. You're watching Hardball, only on MSNBC.